This
Just
conference will now be recorded.
to everybody know, we're being very cautious about what we say and what we do, because as you know, the sites are being hacked, so we don't always know who's listening or who is hacked into it. So until they get confirmed and squared away, we just make sure that we stay on task and do everything that we're supposed to do. Um, okay, Miss Lanier, let's go.
Good evening, everyone.
Everyone, please mute your phone. Everyone, mute their phone.
This is the conference meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held via audio-video conferencing on Tuesday, April 7th, 2020 at 7:03 p.m. Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Unmute and answer.
Councilman Coley?
Present.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Here.
Councilwoman Williams is going to be late. Councilwoman Wooten?
Here.
Council President Eason?
Here.
Also present is Joyce Lanier, the city clerk, Chris Hartwick, the business administrator, Gracia R. Montillis, the city attorney, Adrian Matt, the finance director, Niall Clements, the CFO, Marlon G. Towns, the legislative research officer, and Lisette Sanchez, the record support technician, and Maggie Homer from the clerk's office. Please stand for a moment of silence.
And let's dedicate this moment of silence to all of the COVID victims and just say a prayer for our city. Amen.
Please be apprised anyone wishing to discuss agenda or general items shall email their statements or questions to citycouncil@orangenj.gov, citycouncil@orangenj.gov. Please note all agenda items have been scanned and posted on the website, the city website, and the city council's website. The requirement of NJSA 10:4-9 etcetera, the Sunshine Law has been met. A notice of this meeting was published in the Star Ledger on April 4th, 2020, sent to the record transcript on April 1st, 2020, posted on the Municipal Council's website and the City of Orange Township website, and filed in the office of the city clerk.
Miss Lanier,
There are no matters for discussion.
Miss Lanier.
The resolutions that's on tonight's agenda, council members, are there any that you wish to discuss?
Joyce, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
There are two walk.
Joyce,
I can hear you.
Can you hear
you.
Okay, we're gonna do one matters for discussion. Mr. Hartwig is gonna give a quick update of the COVID-19.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Council President, Madam Clerk. So we're still waiting for today's early evening update. The numbers as of 2 o'clock this afternoon throughout the county, we have approximately 5,042 cases, which represents roughly 1/8 of the cases in the state. The state is approximately 41,265 cases. Unfortunately, Essex County has suffered roughly 214 deaths attributable to COVID-19. In the city of Orange, we currently have 249 cases. That number will go up with the evening reporting. Those cases are split relatively evenly throughout the wards. There are no clusters, if you will. It appears to be a random distribution. We've received a lot of questions about whether or not we're tracking people who have recovered from the virus. Unfortunately, there are no reliable numbers on that particular statistic. The measures that have been taken locally continue in effect. All public buildings are closed to the public, with the exception of the construction industry representatives who are allowed access to City Hall for the building department, which is allowed and permitted under the governor's executive orders. The public parks in the city remain closed. All of the non-essential businesses remain closed. We are well into our third week of the measures that have been put into place by the state. We are operating out of an emergency operations center located at the library. We maintain a emergency point of distribution where we accept supplies and food donations at Rosa Park School. We have done 4 food distributions throughout the city, and we're working on a fifth that will take place tomorrow. We have, together with our co-agencies in Irvington, East Orange, and Newark, done roving border patrols to ensure that people are observing the 8 p.m. Curfew and the essential nature of travel. As part of our OEM effort, we have set up a group within the administration to deal with individual public assistance that is allowed after a state of emergency is declared. We have also created a group to deal with the not-for-profits and PNPs. And we have a group that's working on the public assistance portion. We also have obviously an OEM operating group that includes representatives from all municipal entities, the city, the housing authority, the Board of Education, law enforcement, fire, OEM professionals, administration personnel, etc. We continue to operate city government in accordance with the emergency operations plan and business continuity plan that we prepared for this event. We're all hopeful that the restrictions don't last too long. We will be guided by the governor's office and the county OEM. There is one particular effort that I'd like to describe to you because it's relatively new. And I think that it's not only in recognition of an outstanding job that's being done, but also it's really a community response. As you know, we have a EMS contract with St. Clair's. In the past, we have had several issues with EMS providers. We've been very, very fortunate with the St. Clair's contract. Both police and fire and members of the general public report that their response time is magnificent. They operate 2 rigs here on a daily basis, and nobody planned for the type of stress that this circumstance would impose upon those EMS workers. They are averaging between 16 and 28 calls per shift. It's an 8-hour shift, and their rigs have to be decontaminated after every run. They have lost to the virus 1 member of their staff. Another is in critical condition, and 2 others have been incubated. in an effort to avoid an effort to mitigate the stress that they're under, as well as to plan for an increase in surge in cases. Our OEM efforts, we secured an alternate location for them to operate out of. They did not have enough space to be operating where they have been operating under these conditions. We were fortunate enough to get a piece of property that's owned by a private individual. It has a garage. Public Works came in on Sunday and cleared out the garage. We cleaned up the property. We had a construction trailer delivered there, electricity, running water, and we have secured a short-term contract with a decontamination cleaning service to assist them in decontaminating not only their rigs, but also their Tyvek suits and equipment. That was all put together in the last 48 hours. They are doing a tremendous job in service to this community. And if you recall, St. Clair's is not charging us for this service. So we have a 3-year free contract with them. And we undertook these efforts in appreciation, not only for the job that they're doing, but for the danger that they face every hour of every day. And we think this will help. It will be up and operational by tomorrow morning. We have some final communications to put in. And down the road, we're going to search for a better location for them to operate out of in the city. But we'll have this available to us for as long as COVID-19 lasts. So we're doing and working with our partners to the greatest extent possible. We will all get through this. One final note about numbers. I would urge people not to get too caught up in these numbers, although they're circulated and published every day in the press. Most people who look at the numbers with any type of training or background will be the first to tell you that the number of cases can be a very deceptive number because of who we're testing and who we're not. We're not tracking who recovers. And so the numbers don't tell the whole story. And they tend to paint a darker picture. And I'm not minimizing the seriousness of this at all. But they do tend to paint a darker picture being presented in the fashion in which they're being presented without some of the other quantifiable metrics that people just have not had the opportunity or the preparation to present or to track. So obviously very, very horrible events. Everybody, police, fire, public works, administration, EMS, even some of the library employees working very closely to respond to this on a daily basis and to keep things running as smoothly as we can under these circumstances. So I want to thank the council for their support, and I want to publicly thank all of the members of the Orange OEM, Office of Emergency Management, our police, our firefighters, and particularly our EMS personnel, and our DPW people who are essential. They've been doing an amazing job under very, very difficult circumstances. So that's my report, Madam President.
Madam President, can I ask the BA?
Yes, Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. BA, something's been brought to my attention, and I kind of shop locally. I'm starting to see a lot of gloves and masks all over the place. Please have, a game plan for that. I know there's something after the fact once we got rolling, but now that's a whole creative thing with the health issue with gloves and masks and debris being thrown in parking lots. So that's something we have to deal with. Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. I had that in my notes to talk to him about also. And as you drive around in other towns, they have that same issue. We're asking our residents to please throw your used gloves in a garbage receptacle. And if you can't, they're not near one, just put them in your pocket and take them home and discard them because we don't need another epidemic. Because if you touch something with that germ, then it could help to spread it. And also with St. Clair's, Chris, I just want to say I have a testimony. I used them on Sunday night. They are excellent. For you, those of you that don't know, I have a nephew who's in University on Critical. He had a bad fall, so they picked him up, and they also brought the trauma unit from UMD with them. So they're doing a great job, and they respond and they took care of business. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Madam President, as long as we got on the subject of disposal of masks and gloves, I also want to mention the city operates our own water and sewer department. We have seen a tremendous increase in people flushing wipes down their toilet. Even the wipes that you buy at the store that say they're flushable do not disintegrate like toilet paper does. Wipes that you're using to sanitize your home should be disposed of in plastic bags as garbage. They should not be flushed down the toilet. And the more people who we can get to say that to all their neighbors, the better off we will all be. We have responded to a record number of sewer clogs in the last 10 days, many of which, overwhelmingly many of which, have been caused by wipes that should not be flushed. So not exactly something we always talk about at city council meetings, but as long as we have the opportunity, it's a public service announcement. It would help us tremendously to allocate our resources. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lanier. Joyce, can you hear me? Joyce. Unmute your
Yeah,
phone.
it was breaking up a lot.
Okay.
I did. It was breaking up. Okay, so are there any other resolutions or ordinances that the council wish to discuss?
Council President, if I may,
Yes, yes, Councilman Jackson.
I have questions on the ordinances all from section 9, 10. So that's 2020. Can someone from the administration at least identify which ones are being pulled, or are there any specific? So
Yeah,
I don't have to cover those.
President
Sure.
Jackson, we should, hold on, Chris. We should have told you in the beginning. 11, 12, 13, and 14 and remain postponed.
All right.
Um,
And if I may,
20,
two has already been submitted to committee. We haven't had an opportunity to edit that, so I hope that we will continue postponement of 2-2020 as well.
and so, but Joyce is going to handle that when she gets there. 400 and 420, we're not acting on tonight.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes. I have a question about 144. I see that the resolution to accept excess 2019 summer food services. I see the numbers and how they add up. I'm looking at the second page, which is a letter to the director from the coordinator of the summer service food program, and the numbers that she present appear to equal each other. So it says that the advance payments and reimbursement total 433,161.35, and your reimbursement amounts to 433,161.35. So that seems like zero to me. Where is the excess coming from?
I would ask Mr. Mapp, who was involved with Wendy Sykes in dealing with this, to address that question.
Thank you.
Mr. Mapp, we can't.
Do you mind repeating that question, please?
All right, thank you. My question was, in looking at, this is for 144-2020, this to accept the 2019 excess of 151,346.55. I'm looking at the letter on the second page from the coordinator of the summer food service program, and the numbers appear to be equal, which I thought would result in a zero, not an excess. So where's the excess coming from?
Basically, the excess, the grant was awarded for, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the grant was awarded and entered into the 2019 budget for a fixed amount of money. What happened is that the state sent us more than the amount of the grant. And the amount that we received from the state exceeded the original grant that was in the 2019 budget by $151,000. Even though we had not spent the amount of the original grant, we had to enter into this year's budget the amount of the difference between the original grant and the two checks that we received from the state, which exceeded the original grant by $151,000. And so we now have to include that amount as an additional grant or supplemental grant in the 2020 budget, which would give us the authority to spend those additional funds.
So without looking at the letter, Councilman Jackson, this is what happened in a nutshell. We originally applied for a grant. The projected budget that was approved was for $281,814.80. That's the third whereas clause to the resolution. The grant reimbursement that happens under the program is on a per meal served basis. We served more meals than what was projected in the original budget, so that the summer food program reimbursement amount was $433,161.35, which is in the fifth whereas clause of the resolution. And the excess funds over the amount budgeted but reimbursed to us was $151,346.55.
I see that, but so it just maybe the coordinator was incorrect in her the way that she wrote it in the letter, because her numbers don't reflect what you just told me. I don't know how that works.
What does her number reflect, Counselor?
Her number says that the funding you have received through advance payments for your 2019 program totaled $433,161.35, which is $399,393 in food services and $33,268.35 in administrative. And then she says your program reimbursement your based on the number of eligible meals served amounts to $433,161.35, which is equal to the amount that she says we received advanced payments and reimbursements for in the same distribution I described for food services and administrative. So it doesn't state this number that says 281,814.80. Maybe she overestimated what we served or something, because the numbers that don't match the cover of the first page of our resolution regarding and her reporting of what actually happened.
And I don't have the benefit of looking at her letter to you, but what we can represent to you is that we spent, I think it was about 169,000 out of the 281. However, what we received from the state by way of two checks was $400 and I believe $31,000, Chris?
Correct.
So the difference between the 281 that was in last year's budget and the checks that we received, that difference is 151,000.
Right,
Which
I
we must now
understand.
include.
I understand that.
City
I'm
budget.
just saying that the notation, or at least the documentation provided by the coordinator did not reflect the same numbers. And it is what it is. I just was confused by the different numbers in terms of the coordinator of the program versus what we represented in our resolution. That's all.
And so what the council has to do tonight is to accept the additional $151,000 into the budget.
Okay, just so they're sure that there was, I hope that the coordinator understands there was actually an excess. I mean, an excess, not what she represented in her letter.
She
Well, that
knows
was
what
the
it is.
exact
She does know
question.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was the exact question that we had. We actually went and reached out to the state to confirm that we were correct and have a
Okay.
letter to that effect.
all right, wonderful. Thank you for your time on that question. I have a question also about 145-2020, which is just, I have questions about the program here, the memorandum of understanding between East Orange and Orange regarding providing services for HIV testing and counseling. And do we have a current program in Orange for these services, or are we utilizing services from someplace else?
We do not.
Okay,
This would be
and
expansion of the services that we currently offer.
how do we document the provision of services for Orange at this time? Do we have do you receive a report on that?
Yes.
Is that for public knowledge or is it confidential?
A lot of it's confidential under HIPAA, but the number of patients served, the numbers we have.
Are those somewhere? Okay, thank you. And we're going forward with this MOU. Will all HIV testing and counseling for Orange go to East Orange?
No, actually, if you look at statement of responsibilities in the attached memorandum of understanding, we're responsible to provide an appropriate location to conduct the testing and counseling.
I mean, in terms of, we provide the location, but is East Orange obligated to pay for it through their grants? Or are we paying for it ourselves?
No, that it's a memorandum of understanding, which basically allows them to do the testing for us,
Okay,
as long as we provide the location.
okay, wonderful. Do you have a number for what we've paid for before, what it's costed before?
I don't, no.
That's the only questions I had for that at this time. Thank you.
President, Council President. Hello?
Williams, are you
Yeah,
here?
yes, I am. I just
I
wanted
don't,
to pick,
I don't see you. Where are you?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to piggyback on that 145-2020 through you, Mr. Hartwick. We know that St. Michael's comes in through outreach, through their mobile outreach. Does that factor in?
I'm not certain that St. Michael's actually offers this service. Originally, this was going to be offered through a part of East Orange General, but I have to go back and check with Wendy because she has the details.
So you know what I'm saying? Like St. Michael's just pulls their mobile unit into the city. So you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking. Okay, got you. Okay.
Council President, I only had one more.
Yes, Councilman Jackson. Before you start, Ms. Lanier, Donna, Ms. Williams showed up at, Councilwoman Williams came at 7:27.
Yes, okay, I have it noted. I was going to announce it. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. It's on 149-2020, authorizing the cancellation of a tax sale. And you may have answered this, this administrator, but in a previous question, but I just want to know, It seems like we have routinely some tax sale that were made in error, and then we have to go backwards a little bit. Is there some problematic step we can take to avoid these errors, or are these just something we can't avoid?
There's actually a lot less of them than there used to be. The difference is that we bring them all to the council now to approve.
I hear you.
It's going to happen when you operate on two different computer systems. Our water and sewer are not on the same system, collection system, as the tax collector's office. So you'll end up with situations where you put a tax sale certificate up on water and sewer, and they come in and pay, but the system by our vendor hasn't caught up with the system here in City Hall. And the other thing is sometimes a mortgage lender will come in and pay or pay the delinquency prior to the tax sale, and we don't get our records updated fast enough. So you end up with double payments.
All right, I understand that part, but is there something we can do to coordinate the different systems, or is it just part of the way it is?
We're working on the water and sewer piece, and we hope to have that reconciled and resolved this year.
Thank you very much for your answer. That's all I have, Council President.
Any other council members? Okay, move the agenda.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Jackson, who made the first motion?
Holy.
Oh, Kerry Coley. Okay.
Second by,
Jackson, Councilman Jackson.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned, 7:36 PM. This is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held via audio-video conferencing on Tuesday, April 7, 2020, following the conference meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I have a flag.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
of the
of
United
the United
States,
States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
For all.
Roll call. Councilman Coley,
Present.
Councilman Jackson,
Here.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Here.
Councilwoman Williams,
Present.
Councilwoman Wooten,
here,
Council President Eason.
here,
Also present, Joyce Lanier, the city clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, the business administrator, Gracia R. Montillis, the city attorney, Adrian Matt, the finance director, Niall Clements, chief financial officer, Marlon G. Towns, legislative research officer, Lisette Sanchez, record support technician, and Margarita Homer, senior clerk in the clerk's office. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 EDSEC, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was published in the Star Ledger on Saturday, April 4th, 2020, and sent to the record transcript on Wednesday, April 1st, 2020, posted on the bulletin, posted in City Hall and City Council and the city's website, and filed in the office of the city clerk. Meeting minutes, January 21st, 2020, regular and conference meeting minutes. Their motion to adopt.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Williams, second by Johnson Jr. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
February 4th, 2020, conference and regular meeting minutes. Their motion?
Move.
Second.
Williams, and Councilman Jackson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? February 18th, conference and regular meeting minutes. The motion to adopt?
Move.
Move.
Councilwoman Williams and Councilman Johnson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No council reports, no open reports, council reports.
Do we have any council reports? Yes, Councilman Johnson.
Council President, I'm assuming the library's closed. I don't have a report. I haven't had any correspondence with the director or the board, so I'm assuming they're closed. I don't know. Maybe the BA may know. I don't have a report.
They're using it as a command center, so it is closed.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Move the agenda.
No communications and petitions, citizens' comments. Pursuant to section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressing the council shall give his or her name and address in audible tone. If you have a question, you should email the question to citycouncil@orangenj.gov, and I will read the question into the record. You're expected to conduct yourself and ask the appropriate questions pertaining to the agenda. I received a couple of questions. I'll just read the questions that I have into the record, and if any more come, you can just enter. If you're on the video, you can text the question in the chat, or you can email the question to citycouncil@orangenj.gov. So Janice Morrell asked the question, and her question is that when will the city council amend the city ordinance governing the table of organization and allowable personnel? One, the number of directors, deputy directors, as well as some additional positions do not appear to match the current TO. Do you want me to read questions into the record first and then answer them? How would you like to handle this?
Is that all that Ms. Maria asked?
That was her one question, yes.
Yes. Business Administrator, do you want to answer that?
Sure. In order to answer it accurately, I'd need to know what specific excess position she's referring to.
Okay, so we're going to ask that maybe you call her tomorrow and get the clarification, and then respond in writing. Okay. Does that work?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Next question.
Caitlin Gordon wanted to thank Councilwoman Wooten for her sponsorship of the ordinance prohibiting the use of carry-out plastic bags in the city for all the reasons mentioned in the ordinance. And she also stated that until prohibition becomes effective in the interim, please tie it over with opening drop-off locations for plastic bags and wrapping. Those were the two questions I have. The other
Whoa. This is Mr. Feld. I've sent questions in.
Please mute the mic. Please mute his mic.
I'm going to put something on the record. Citizens still have a right.
Bishop, please mute the mic. Thank you.
Council President.
Yes,
I mentioned earlier.
yes, talking about the plastic bags. We'll let Ms. Gordon know that has not come up yet. So Ms. Wooten, Councilor Wooten will be in touch with her to ask her what she wants to include in that ordinance.
Council
Okay?
President.
Yes,
Council President.
Council President, this is Gross.
yes.
Point of order. I'd ask that the city clerk remind the public to not unmute their mics. Any questions or comments that they have, please use the email as directed, and their questions, comments, or any commentary will be addressed appropriately, but do not unmute your mics.
Okay, so at this
Thank you.
particular time, it is actually citizen comments, and the citizens have the right to speak. So we're going to give you your 2 minutes to speak, as you should have, because that's what the law says. So Mr. Felds, if you would like to use your 2 minutes to speak, you should do so at this time.
First, I want the record.
Hold on. Ms. Lanier, I think we are getting off of what we publish, what we put on the website and what we publicize. So if you need that to happen for the next meeting, we will address it at the close of this. But for tonight, we're not unmuting any mics, okay?
Okay, so Mr. Fell sent in a list of 20 questions.
Please,
How would you
Ms.
like to
Lanier,
proceed?
let's follow what the city attorney said, and we will challenge that tomorrow, okay?
Thank you, Council President.
Thank
Okay,
you, thank
Mr.
you,
Fell, 20
thank you.
questions. How do you want to handle
Okay.
his questions?
Let's just move on with the meeting.
We can't
Yes.
ignore his questions. That's my point. He sent in his questions. What do you want to do with his questions?
We talked before the meeting and we said that he will submit his questions to the business administrator. The business administrator and the city attorney will respond to him in writing. And they will CC all council members.
Okay, and that's what you're going to do, Gross and Mr. Hartwick?
Yes.
You're going to respond to his questions in writing?
Mr. Martillis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have any more questions from citizens, so we'll just move on then.
So just a question, point of order is, we're not reading any more citizens' questions onto the record, even though we've done that with 2 other citizens.
You want to read all 20 of them into the record? Ms. Lanier can read them into the record. She can read them into the record.
One, when will the locally governing body vote up or down Nunc Pro Tunc Skyview Capital Redevelopment Designation Resolution 400-2019? The Underage Zoning Board Appointment Resolution 40-2020 and the Orange Resident Affirmative Hiring Ordinance 2-2020, sponsored by Councilwoman Williams. Just a point of order from my point of view. Mr. Feld sent in 34 questions, and 34 questions is way more than 2 minutes. That's why I was trying to give him an opportunity just to speak. It's 34 questions.
But then we will go back to our original statement. The city attorney and Mr. Hartwick will respond to him in writing.
Council comments?
Any council members have any comments? You can move the agenda. Wait a minute.
Did somebody say something?
Councilwoman Simmons Johnson, you have a comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Move the agenda.
Ordinance 2-2020, an ordinance to amend and supplement the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 7, Affirmative Actions, to add Article 3 entitled Orange Residents Employment Policy to require hiring of city residents on construction projects. This was postponed, and I believe the public hearing is still open. Are there any citizens who wish to make a comment? And if not, then we'll just hold the public hearing.
But
Okay.
we're not, that's still gonna stay postponed, isn't it?
I think it's on public hearing. It's postponed till
No.
committee.
It
Still-
was postponed and we're not lifting it from postponement.
So we're postponing it to the next meeting.
Right,
Still committee.
right. This is the one that Councilman Jackson said he has to hold the meeting on, remember?
Right.
Okay.
So
it is
Council
postponed.
President, if I may, I think what the clerk's trying to say is that the public hearing on these ordinances is scheduled for tonight. So in order to keep them postponed, you have to state when the public hearing will be held. So on this ordinance, you're going to have to say something on the record that you're leaving it on the agenda and that the public hearing will be held on a specific date. And then once you resolve that, if I may, we need to go back and correct something, or we're going to be doing this whole meeting over.
So we're holding the public hearing open, and I think maybe since the committee hasn't met, maybe we might just hold that public hearing over to a meeting in May, so we don't have to bring it back for the next meeting. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay,
think-
so you want to do it for the first meeting in May or the second?
Ask Mr. Councilman Jackson, you think it'll be ready for the
I
first?
think it has to be the first meeting in May.
Okay, so we're holding this public hearing over to the first meeting in May, which is May 5th.
If I may add something in those lines, at least the plan is that we will, and that is myself, the business administrator, and we will do some editing to it to have the resolution match more perfectly with what Orange needs and what our intentions are moving forward with our master plan, compliance with the master plan. And then we're hoping to convene a meeting with the 4 members that are assigned. Hopefully all of them will be able to attend. We are still waiting for nominations from 3 council members. I don't know what the delay might be or the difficulty, but I think it's important that we do our best effort to appoint the other members so we have something going forward. If 4 members don't show, then we can't meet. We need at least a couple, so we'll have some room to maneuver and still take care of business. As we said, the first meeting in May would be best, and that's why it remains postponed.
Ms. Lanier, can you send out an email tomorrow to let us know what council members need to appoint somebody so we can get that taken care of?
Okay,
And if we're moving it to the first meeting in May, so when will the public hearing be?
it's going to be the first meeting in May.
Yeah, because this one's on second reading.
Okay. So we will have the revised ordinance and we will have the public meeting in May, on May 5th.
And a recommendation from the Policy and Procedures Committee.
So, Councilman Jackson, I'm assuming that you're going to revise the ordinance and it's going to be on the agenda for that night, right?
Yes, I think that's a proper assumption.
Okay.
Now, Madam President,
Yes, Yes, Business Administrator.
before we get too far along, and I understand that the format for this meeting is new and it's different and it's not easy to engage in the same sort of public discourse that we can when we're in City Hall. But the guidelines that have been sent out for these meetings by the Division of Local Government and the Local Finance Board were very clear. If we do not go back and give the public an opportunity to comment before you vote on resolutions, then they will never have an opportunity to speak or address any of their comments before you vote. And I dare say that if we allow that to happen, we will be back doing this agenda again. So I think that in an abundance of caution and out of respect for the guidelines that the division has given us to be able to conduct these meetings in this fashion, we should go back, and I will, if the council wants me to, address whatever questions, but comment by the public has to be provided. Otherwise, we'll be doing this all over.
Okay, Business Administrators, I understand everything you were saying. And I guess I'm a little perplexed because we have met and we've done communications and we have set up the guidelines for these meetings. So I'm a little shocked that tonight you would make that statement and not talk to your city attorney so that we're all on the same page. Because it doesn't look very good for the council when we come here, when we say stuff like that. but we have a city attorney, whole attorney's office on staff that should have guided us in the beginning, because when the mail went out, it did not say that, the guidelines. So that's all I'm saying. We have to better communicate amongst ourselves in the future. So when
And
we have these meetings, we have to look like we know what we're doing.
I accept that.
Yeah.
And,
So all I'm saying is we've been meeting, we've been talking about this. We talked this afternoon and we went over what the policy, and Ms. Lanier got her guidelines as to what she wants to do. So between you, her and Gross have to sit down and have a meeting. That hasn't happened, to see how we're going to move forward as a city, because it doesn't make the council look very good when these things happen and we're following what we put on the website and what we advertise. So
actually, what you put on the website, with all due respect, is what I just described.
that is not what I read, and I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood it. So we'll go back and redo the meeting.
Just so we're clear,
So,
that's what's on the
okay.
website.
So before we have our next meeting in April, we all are going to sit down and make sure we're clear on what guidelines we're going to follow. Because I'm like you, I'm tired of lawsuits, and I don't intend to just another one. So we're going to move forward in a community with the administration and the council talking and our city clerk, and making sure we are clear, absolutely clear on how we're going to run these meetings. So we're going to go back and let the public speak. Ms. Lanier?
Yes.
So go back to anyone that want to speak on the resolution and the ordinances only. They can do that at this time. Mr. Hartwick and the city attorney will answer all questions that you get on email that you read, and the ones that you did read, they will answer them in writing in a joint effort. Okay?
My name is.
Well, I have Mr. Fell was the one who wanted to speak, and then there's a question in the chat. When Mr. Fell, I'm speaking, I'll read.
Hold on, Mr. Fair. Hold on. Go ahead.
When Mr. Fell finished speaking, I'll read the question that's in the chat.
Okay, Mr. Fair.
Limited. I want the record to reflect that I sent 3 different correspondence with questions. 1 on Saturday and 2 supplemental ones. I'll wait. I just want my questions to be attached to the minutes when the minutes are adopted. The only questions I really have today are on the walk-on resolutions. 1, why the bill list took so long that had to be walked on. And there's certain questions I put in my supplemental questions as to certain payments that were made, because there's 2 entities I do not know who they are. In addition, there was questions, I think I can wait for the BA, but the public has to understand that about the retention of Gluck wall work. One of the retentions does not have a contract. In addition, when you read the contract, it says if they go over the amount that's going to be granted to them, the Insurance Fund Commission has the authority, not the city council, to increase that amount. That's a different policy that we had before. We've always said if you got to the cap, you had to come back to the council to get the approval for additional monies. And when I read that one, I think it was for their services as redevelopment council. But those are the only things I think are requiring resolutions. As to the process, I want you to attach my letters and the exhibits, and I'll wait for an answer that can be supplied to the public for the questions. But we had to focus on the importance of the robust participation of the public. That's one thing that the government wants to preserve.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Phil. Is there anybody else on there that want to speak? Please unmute your mic.
I'm going to read a question in.
Okay.
It's in the chat, and it's from Manny, and it says, I'm assuming he wants to know what is the city's attorney's opinion regarding this whole conversation we just had.
About the meetings?
About public comments.
Mr. Martellus, are you there? Or let me just say this. Let me just say this. I know you read the question. I would prefer, and this is me, that you and Mr. Hart would get together and y'all draft that response so everybody knows what is being said, and send it to the council and respond to Manny and just publicize it.
No, I think, and I think that that directive was already mentioned and we already agreed upon that that's exactly what's going to happen. I think that, Council President, you are correct, that the BA, the City Attorney's Office, as well as the clerk will get together. I will memorialize the statements that were made by the BA and the understanding that we have with respect to the law. I will memorialize that in a memo for distribution to the council members. I thought that was clear.
And would you also make sure that when you're having that, before you really memorial, that you speak to Lanier so that she can get her comments and her concerns on the record and in that before it comes to a council meeting? Okay? Okay. All right.
So I don't, Lisette, I know your mic is on mute, and my second lap thing went off. So I don't know if there are any more questions on the city council website, because I can't see it anymore. Do you have it up?
I don't, unfortunately.
No, we'll just
I'll
have
do
to
it.
disappear. Okay.
Ms. Lanier, if there's any more, we'll come back to them later.
Yes, I'll check it.
All right.
Council President, if I may,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, regarding a memo answering the questions, can we have that in time to be included with the agenda packet that we receive for our next meeting?
You want the answers or the questions themselves?
Well, the questions and the answers, we have to have both. So what the responses that have been promised regarding a memo on, and including maybe some clarification of the legality of how we're conducting these meetings, wherever it is, if we could have it by the Wednesday before, just like agenda items.
That'll be
So
part
for
of the agenda package. I think Mr. Farrell sent us his questions individually, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did. He sent the email.
Yeah, he sent the email to all council members with his questions attached.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And just for the record, Tamara said there are no other questions on the council website.
Okay, all right.
So ordinance 11-2020 is being postponed. Can I get a motion to postpone it?
Joyce, do we need a motion to close citizens' comments or anything? No?
Yes.
I'm
Can I
sorry.
get those citizen comments?
Move.
Councilwoman Williams
Second.
and Councilman Coley.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we're going back to ordinances on introduction. Ordinance 11-2020 is being postponed. Can I get a motion to postpone it? And are we postponing it definitely, or are we postponing it to a further meeting out? Because if we're going to postpone it, if you want to postpone it for a couple of meetings, let's just set a date for a new postponement, so it won't have to come back on the agenda next meeting.
Based on the conversation we just had, it's being postponed until May 5th. Am I correct?
Okay, so this is being postponed for May 5th. Can I get a motion to postpone to May 5th?
Move.
Councilwoman Williams,
Second?
Councilwoman Wooten,
Second.
or Councilman Johnson?
Any opposed or on the motion? Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Councilwoman Wooten, unmute your mic.
Yes. Yes.
Council President Easton?
Yes.
A motion to postpone 12-2020 to May 5th, 2020. Is there a motion?
Move.
Councilwoman Williams,
Second.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
On the motion?
Wooten.
That was Wooten?
Oh,
Yes.
that was Wooten. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then I'm roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Eastern.
Yes.
A motion to postpone 13-2020 to May 5th, 2020.
Move.
Second.
Councilwoman. Summers Johnson
Councilwoman, was that Wooten or
Wooten and Williams.
and Williams.
Williams? On the motion? Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson, Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
yes. Council President Eastern.
Yes.
A motion to postpone 14-2020 to May 5th, 2020.
Move.
Second.
Motion?
Councilwoman Wooten and
I'm
Councilwoman
sorry, I didn't hear. Who made the motion?
Wooten. Councilwoman Wooten and Councilwoman
That's
Williams.
Wooten and Williams?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, on the motion? Roll call. Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Eastern.
Yes.
15-2020, an ordinance amended ordinance 37-2017 relating to salaries of certain employees of the City of Orange Township management. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Move.
Councilwoman Williams
Second.
and Councilman Coley.
On the motion?
On the motion, Council President.
Seeing none, Councilman Coley?
Councilman Jackson has a question.
Yes, on the motion, I just wanted to know, in consideration of the question regarding the mismatch, maybe at least that was talked about, and in understanding that we are in a strange circumstance with COVID-19 and not being in the city hall, is it possible we can hold off on this particular resolution until we are more stable in terms of our operations, or do we need to do it right now?
Councilman Jackson, the answer is no, because he's already in the job and we need to take care of this.
Okay, and these are civil, this is civil servant, oh, he's in one of the list, the one that's scheduled.
It's just for one person, just one
Okay.
person.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams, can you mute your mic for a minute? Okay, go ahead.
Councilman Jackson?
Okay.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes. Did you hear me?
Councilwoman Summers Johnson? Yes, I heard you. Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
No.
Council President Eastern?
Yes.
So that is 6 yeas and 1 no. The motion passed. The final reading for this will be Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. Is there a motion to lift 400-2019 off the table? Seeing none, it is remain tabled. 40-2020 is postponed and has been postponed from 2/4, 2/18, 3/3, 3/24 meetings. Is there a motion to postpone this indefinitely or to a May 5th meeting?
Move.
Councilman Jackson. Is there a second?
There's a second?
There is no second. So we're just gonna leave them on the table.
So what do you want to do with it? It's not on the table, it's postponed. We need to postpone it again if we're going to postpone it.
Which one are you
Second.
talking about? 40-20?
40-2020.
Yes. Well, Councilman Jackson proposed to postpone it indefinitely. Can we get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson.
On that motion, seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley.
And what are we doing exactly, Madam Clerk here?
We'll postpone it
We're
indefinitely.
postponing it indefinitely.
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Easton.
Yes.
Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Are there any items that the council wish to remove for a separate vote? Okay.
Agenda.
So the consent agenda consists of 144, 145, 146, 147, 148, 149, 150, 151, 152, 153, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, 159, 160, 161, and 162. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move.
Move.
Councilwoman Williams and Councilwoman Wooten.
On the motion? Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Easton.
Yes.
New business. The following resolutions are being considered to be walked on tonight's agenda. Resolution 163-2020 WO and Resolution 164-2020 WO. I'll read the titles when we go on the two individual ordinances, unless you want them read into the record now. I probably should. 163-2020, a resolution authorizing the awarding of emergency contract between the City of Orange Township and MIA Restoration, DBA, Porcelain of Morristown, New Jersey, 9 Montgomery Road, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039, for decontamination services of EMS and ALS trucks, passenger vehicles, equipment, and supplies in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in an amount not to exceed $50,000. Resolution 164-2020 WO, a resolution approving the bill list for the City Council vote of April 7, 2020, dated April 7, 2020, approving checks issued by the Finance Department in accordance with Ordinance 2-95, grand total $5,051,097.08. Is there a motion to walk these two resolutions on?
Move.
Councilman Johnson and Councilwoman Wooten.
On the motion? Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Eason.
Yes.
Are there any citizens who wish to speak on any of these resolutions?
Again, Mr. Feld, I just want the record to reflect the 5 questions that I emailed at 2:31 this afternoon to you, that they're part of the record.
Thank
Any
you.
other citizens? Is there a motion to close citizen comments?
Move.
I believe that was Councilwoman Wooten and Councilman Coley.
Councilman
All in
Jackson.
favor? Oh, Councilman Jackson?
You
No,
can
I
write it.
didn't say anything. I just, I unmuted after I heard everybody
It was
else.
Coley.
Coley? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 163, 2020 WO, a resolution authorizing the award of emergency contract between the City of Orange Township, MIA Restoration, EBA Porcelain of Morristown, New Jersey 9, Montgomery Road, Livingston, New Jersey 07039, for the decontamination services of EMS and ALS trucks, passenger vehicles, equipment, and supplies in response to COVID-19 pandemic in an amount not to exceed $50,000. The motion to adopt.
Move.
That is a motion by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
On the
Yes.
motion? Then on roll call, Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Eason.
Yes.
164-2020 WO, a resolution approving the bill list for council meeting vote on April 7, 2020, dated April 7, 2020, and approving checks issued by the Finance Department in accordance with Ordinance 2-95. Grand total $5,051,097.08. A motion to adopt.
Move.
Councilwoman Williams and Councilwoman Wooten.
On the motion? Seeing none, roll call, Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Eason.
Yes.
Is there any other pending business?
Any council members have any pending business?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Councilwoman Williams and Councilwoman Wooten.
Who was the second?
Councilwoman Wooten.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting adjourned at 8:17 p.m.
Thank you all for coming on.
Joyce, who
Thank
was the
you.
second?
Stay strong and safe, everybody.
All
Joyce,
right.
who was the second?
The second was
Councilwoman,
Thank you.
it was Councilwoman Wooten.
Williams and
Okay.
Wooten.
And when I went back to check the email, there was no new messages.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody
Thank
do me
you.
a favor, find something to laugh about. Get a little laughter. Laugh at yourself. Do something. Keep staying out there, everybody.
Council President, I'll drop it off
Thank
to your
you.
house. Councilwoman Eason,
Yes.
I'll drop it off to your house tomorrow. For
Okay,
signature.
all right. Just let me know. I'll
Have a
get it.
good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.